Hi friends, and welcome to Annie's Pink Chair, where we share stories that invite presence, inspire purpose, and ignite passion into the heart to share God's love throughout the world. And today I have an amazing, very special, unique guest that is actually, my personal opinion, Hollywood elite. My friend Catherine Hickland is an American actress, singer, and entrepreneur. She has starred in such shows as One Life to Live and Knight Rider, just to name a few, and on Broadway as Fantine in Les Mis. Kat, as she's known to her friends, is also a hypnotist and mentalist and performs over 100 shows a year. She is married to director and producer Todd Fisher and lives in Las Vegas, woo! The city of lights, the city of grace.
I love it here. It's a beautiful city.
I'm so happy you're here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be
Part
here too.
two. I love it. I know. We could do
and I'm so excited.
like 20 of these because you're such an interesting and fascinating and amazing person.
Oh gosh,
Kat.
Thank you, Annie.
And you're gorgeous. And before we left off on the last show, we were talking about this incredible makeup line that you have, catcosmetics.com, plug, because this palette that you're giving me as a gift, which I think is beautiful, and I'm going to totally use it, is, what did you say, beauty in 5 minutes?
Instant beauty.
Instant beauty?
That's why it's called instant beauty, because I personally don't have more than 5 minutes to spend on my face. Most women don't. And
it's
so
true.
I wanted something that would make you look really great, really fast, especially when you're after 40. So I was over 40 when I started this 21 years ago, and I wanted my skin to glow and look good and all that. So I developed a line for women over 40.
And I love that because I don't see a lot of cosmetic companies focusing on, and I don't want to say our age group, but come on.
Well, no.
Everyone's going to age, Kat.
Oh, I know. And
no one's going to die in their 20s.
And
I mean, there are people that do, but the majority.
We should age right in your mind, in your spirit, and physically. You know what I mean? Meaning, what you think really does affect the way you age. And so all of our lives, we've been taught to fear aging, and I feel exactly the opposite of that. I embrace it because there's things I'm getting with my age that I wouldn't be able to get any other way, except through the process of living your life. You know?
And you know what's amazing? Like, you're so
wisdom.
beautiful. Like, your eyes, you can see inside of your eyes the wisdom, but you can see the kindness and compassion.
Well, you know,
that comes from living.
Thank you.
I mean, a life. Come on, your life. Like, you grew up in Florida, you moved to go to Hollywood, 5 years old. We're just doing a short recap.
Yeah.
You said, I'm going to be an actress. And you did it. You went and did daytime television, all these famous soap operas. And then you went to Broadway, which is so cool, after, 2 different marriages. And you met this wonderful guy that brought you into this New York lifestyle. And you played a prostitute in Les Mis.
I did.
Which
Fantine
is
definitely was.
It's such a famous, iconic, play and movie. It's incredible. About the French Revolution, which I love France so much.
Oh, do you?
Girl, I'm French. I have French in me.
I love Italy.
Yeah, I love Italy too. But French, I mean, the French people and the food and the culture and I love it. Just, So I would love to have a Destiny House there, a chateau actually one day. It's one of my goals. But I wanted to talk about the character that you played, because I think that even back then, even movies still sometimes do it now, they portray women as, we want to get into prostitution. We chose this lifestyle. We think it's going to take care of us. Or what was her experience? Why did she start selling herself? What happened?
Well, she had a daughter, and she didn't have anybody in her life, and she had a daughter who she had to take care of, and so during the French Revolution, she had long, beautiful hair. I love this part. Fantine had a beautiful long hair.
I remember that.
And she had to cut it off.
Yes.
To sell her hair.
Yes.
Because her daughter was ill, and she needed the money, so she cut off all her hair, and then she was turned out into the streets to be a prostitute, and she had no hair at all chopped off. Looked like she chopped it off with a clamshell.
Yeah.
And every time I put the wig on for that night's performance, I felt so bad for her. I would feel like I'd start to feel the way she would feel because, you know, if you're acting, you need to climb inside of that life.
It's humiliating, Kat, to have your hair cut. You know, my ex-trafficker cut my hair off in front of 6 pimps and all the
to teach you a lesson?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's called serving.
Yeah.
And you know, I was devastated. He shaved it off with a buzzer and he made me, and I was totally nude.
Yeah.
He made me take all my clothes off. But when you said that you put that wig on and you took on
could feel
the pain of that character,
humiliation and the shame and all of it.
Right now, it's really not even a character. It's the face of trafficking.
Yeah.
So she ended up getting in the street to sell herself because she had to take care of her sick daughter.
Yeah.
And wasn't there something with her teeth being pulled because she had gold in her teeth?
Oh, yes. That was more in the movie than in the stage play. But when she sold the one thing she loved, the one piece of jewelry she had, her hair, when she had nothing left to sell, then she sold herself.
Right.
And
who controlled her, do you think?
You know, I don't know. That's a funny thing. I think back then...
Was anyone managing her or...
I don't know that they had that sort of thing back then, but it certainly wasn't in the play.
Right.
But she became very sick because she was always in the streets and in the cold and beaten up and no one to take care of her.
Did you sing that song?
I Dreamed a Dream is her song.
Oh my God, I cry. Oh, I'm going to cry right now.
It's such a great song. And then she dies.
Yeah.
And then she comes back at the end as the ghost. Right? Right? Oh, you're such a sensitive, beautiful human being. That's so great. But it was a great role. You know, it was one I never expected to play. I didn't start singing lessons till I was in my 30s.
That is amazing, though.
Everyone said, you can't do it. And I'm like, no, we don't tell each other we can't. We champion each other.
I love
That's
that
the way
you connected and that you made that happen because that was important to you.
But God made it happen.
Yeah.
I just showed up.
Yeah.
And that is the truth. Jesus is he knows the desires of our hearts.
Right.
And, some things I had to wait a long time for, and as we know, God's timing is always different than ours, but it's always exactly right. It's always perfect.
Yeah.
And so, it was worth the wait, for sure.
That's so neat.
Yeah.
I want to talk, and I know we're skipping so much of your life. What happened to lead you to your current and final love of your life?
That's right.
The final countdown, the best thing that's ever happened to you. So, I hope I'm not putting words in your mouth.
No, not at all. And it's so funny because I never want anybody to think that life is easy and perfect for some people because that is just a giant illusion.
Right.
And so if you're going through stuff right now in life, just know that you and everybody else. And so what's the difference, between if we can get out of that and be in a life that works, that's entirely possible. And so I'd rather hear about somebody's struggles and the way that we can rise from the ashes, because that's absolutely possible.
Right.
And it happens every day for people. And it all begins in how we use this and how we connect the mind, the spirit, and body, mind, spirit. I believe very heavily in that. I don't have any illusion about who's in charge here. I don't think it's me. I think the only thing I'm in charge of is what comes out of this mouth and what this mind thinks. I can't control anything else. And so, it's a beautiful thing as you grow in your life, and not to accept shame for things that you've done in your life or things that you didn't do in your life. That is called life. It's how we learn things, So, can't remember what got me off on this tangent.
No, because we were talking about what led you to meeting your current husband.
So and 13 years ago,
we have like Jesus in the middle of all this, because as a little girl, you were like looking for God. You were like,
I didn't know what I
drop
was
me off at
looking
that
for,
church.
but that's what I found.
Yeah.
And again, walked away many times thinking, I got this. Okay, I'm good, because Hollywood can do that to you.
Yes.
Fame can do that to you. Money can do that to you. So you eventually get, I think there's a correction made, just like there is in the stock market, when you get corrected. And when that really finally takes hold and you go, oh, I got it. It's not me making all this happen. It's God knowing my desires and saying, I'm here, child. I am here. Why do you keep looking somewhere else for all the things that you came to me for? You know, so that is, you know, great. And 13 years ago, I stopped dating completely after I was married for 17 years to a really great person.
Yes.
And that was a painful divorce, even though it was a friendly divorce, and it had to happen.
That's a long time to spend with
17 years is a third of my life.
That's right.
And so he's important to me as a friend even today. But I didn't date for a year and a half because I felt that I was, I needed to understand where I have been, what my weaknesses are, what my strengths are. I was starting kind of over again. And I was in my 40s and late 40s at that. But it was okay, you know, because sometimes life pushes you out of the nest and you have to figure things out.
I got married in my 40s.
Did you?
Yeah.
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 And so 12 or 13 years ago, I was working on my first comedy hypnosis show for New York City. I was still on One Life to Live. But I was out here because I was looking at places that I might want to live. And I loved, my pastor lived here. And so I had gone to a church called The Hiding Place. It was in Los Angeles. It was in the 80s, and it was started by Henry Catrona and Todd Fisher.
Oh.
Todd Fisher's Debbie Reynolds' son.
Yep. He's
Eddie
Hollywood
Fisher's
royalty
son.
too. That's right.
Carrie Fisher
Anyone
was his
know
sister.
Do we know Princess Leia?
And yes, and I always
Star
thought,
Wars.
this is how
my
weird
gosh.
life is.
Love it.
And how wonderful it is. And I want you all to understand why I'm telling this story, because you just never know.
Yeah.
At any given moment, you just never know when something amazing is about to take place in your life. Not to give up 5 minutes before the miracle, just to know that that life can change in an instant for the better or the worse, just depending on what's going on up here with you. And so I was working on the show because he was doing all the multimedia for the show, and Todd Fisher called. I hadn't seen Todd Fisher or anything, and
you had met him
40
before.
years. Well, he was one of the pastors at the church. I mean,
That's crazy.
I know. I really didn't know him back
Like God's
then, but
chasing you. It's like, hello.
I admired him a lot.
Right.
I was like, I'd like to be with a man of God.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And so anyway.
And God knew that.
40 years later.
Desires of your
We were
heart, you
both
said.
available. We met each other. I got my man of God. I can't tell you how happy I am. Now, the first couple of years were rough. I'm not going to lie. It was, because people, think, you hear the birds come and drop a robe off on your shoulder. It's not like that, especially when you're in your 50s, which is how old I was when I met him. I was 52, something like that, 53. And I just really realized that something really quite wonderful was happening. But when you're this age, you're kind of set in your ways and they're set in their ways. And so
how does that work? You're in your 50s and it's like...
Well, yeah, you have to realize that you're not looking for a diamond in the rough anymore. Nope. You're looking for the diamond.
That's right.
And
because you know what it looks like.
And sometimes it gets a little rough.
Yeah, totally.
So you get with the diamond and it gets a little rough.
Yep.
So the first few years were hard. But, it's so great now. And it did take, because you have to adjust. You're not going to change. They're not going to change. You're set in your ways.
That's right.
So, you have to really start looking
Grace
at
has to kick in at some point.
This is the way it is. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to be able to change that. And nobody wants to feel like a science experiment anyway, right?
Right.
So we have an amazing marriage, and his mother was so fantastic. I miss her so much.
Yes,
Debbie Reynolds.
the mother was.
Oh, she was incredible.
Which I wanted to meet her and I never got to, but she had a hotel here.
She did.
It used to be like the paddle boat, but she changed it into
the Debbie Reynolds
hotel, and the paddle was now turned into a cinema reel.
Oh my gosh, it sure was. You have a great memory.
Oh my gosh, I used to walk in that. Listen, when I was being trafficked, and this is bad, sad stories, but I'd walk in there to go on a call and I would look around the corner. Is Debbie here? Like, I wanted to meet her.
She was there a lot. I'm surprised.
And she had a museum there too, with all her different outfits that she used to wear.
Yep, the museum was there.
Oh my gosh, it would be so cool to meet her. She probably doesn't want to meet a prostitute.
She would have loved you.
Yeah,
really.
I just think that God, like in my heart, meeting you and just even having that connection with her son. With, I mean, now that I'm knowing
and when
you.
I met you, I didn't have that connection.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Very interesting.
We met each other 14 years ago or so. You know, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you ended up, what happened? How did he ask you to marry him? Was it like,
we knew?
Did you know, or
I did, and
were
I
you
think
talking
he did.
about it, or?
Well, not like all the time or anything, but I knew that he was a serious person. I knew that this is a person that was a good man, would not cheat, would not, you know, I mean, like these things you have to say because that's just life. Sometimes these things happen and they can devastate us.
Right.
But I knew I knew who he was, and I knew that I did not think I was ever going to get married again, honestly. But he, about a year and a half or so after we met, he picked me up at the airport because I travel a lot for my shows. And he picked me up at the airport, and he had a big, beautiful Australian Shepherd, about 70, 80-pound dog. The dog went everywhere with him. It was his shadow. So when he picked me up and we went out to the car, he opened a box and he said, "Will you marry us?" Meaning he and his dog. And I was like, who could say no to that?
What kind of box was it? Like, was it like a box of roses?
No, it was a ring.
Oh, it was okay, duh.
It was a ring in the box, yeah.
And were you like, wow?
Yes, I was surprised. I was pleased. I was thrilled, and I married them both. The invitation said, Catherine Hickland is going to marry Todd and Yippee Fisher.
Yippee Fisher.
We invite you to the, we got married
now. Yippie's in the Rainbow Bridge?
He's at the Rainbow Bridge because he lived a nice long life.
Yeah.
And Debbie and Carrie planned my wedding and our wedding.
Wow.
And so we got married at Carrie's house in the backyard on December 22nd. So we had like a Christmas wedding.
Sure.
And Carrie did an amazing job with all the plans. And it was just a great day of my life.
Wow.
Good move for me. I really am very happy. Yeah.
Yeah. So how close did you get to Carrie and Debbie?
Well, I didn't really ever have a chance to get that close with Carrie because she was always gone.
Yeah,
she was making
busy.
Star Wars and, you know, doing. So, I mean, we didn't live in LA. We lived, I moved here. And so, but Debbie, I was very, very close with because she loved coming to Las Vegas and visiting and staying with us. And we'd go and do the same with her. We're very, very close. My mother passed away, and so she became very much a mother figure to me. And she was awesome, just a fantastic human being. Yeah.
She probably was just like she was on the screen. I mean,
funny. She's very funny. She was very funny and very. We had a lot of very deep, meaningful talks, and she wasn't used to that.
I bet you she had such a rich, just full of wisdom and love and just everything that you'd want to take from someone that lived that life, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
It's amazing.
She was quite a woman.
And did you glean a lot of that off of
I did.
that relationship?
And I mean, you know, there were a lot of things that we admired about each other. And so that was the thing that we had a beautiful exchange of thoughts. And all the time we'd have the best talks.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it was
losing her was a big loss.
You know, that entire episode, because it wasn't just, I mean, that close apart. I was shocked.
15 hours apart, they died.
I was shocked. I couldn't believe, it's like.
People told me later when because we were in such a state of shock and we had so much to do and take care of because
Hollywood was in shock.
Todd's whole family was wiped out in one, you know, and so it was like, oh my gosh. We had to plan funerals and memorials and just try to absorb what just happened.
People still don't want to say goodbye to both of them, and the generation that had Debbie Reynolds and then the generation that had Carrie. Like they still have a hard time. I mean, I heard rumors that they're trying to bring back Leia, and they have in that actual last movie that they made had made her young again. Oh my gosh, she looked gorgeous.
Yes, they did that with the CGI.
Yep, they had to do that.
It was interesting to watch.
The Disney show, they brought her in, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, whoa, Carrie looks great. Like, what's going on here?
Oh, they did that on the TV series?
They did.
Oh, I did not know that.
They brought her in, and it was crazy. Like, wow.
Wow.
It was, I hope I'm not getting that wrong.
That's okay.
Because I watched it and I loved it.
They brought in, I heard, a little girl that played Leia.
They did.
And she was fantastic.
Yep. She was incredible, and same spirit.
Yep.
Everything.
Yes.
And I cannot wait. And they said they're not going to finish it. That's the rumor, but I hope that they do, because everybody was like this at the end, like, next.
Yeah.
I mean, they're building Darth Vader right now.
Yeah.
You know, what's his name just turned, and I love sci-fi so much. Star Wars, Star Trek. I can't say which one I love better, because I love them both.
Yeah.
So my husband does too, by the way. That's why we get along so
great.
well.
Yeah. Well, you have to come over sometime, because
I'd love to.
We built a museum inside of our home with the costumes from Debbie's films, because we never auctioned really much of hers off, because Todd wanted to save all of his mother's costumes from How the West Was Won, Singing in the Rain, The Unsinkable Molly Brown, Susan Slept Here. We have all of her costumes. Yeah. And we have a lot of Star Wars memorabilia, which is really fun to see. So you have to come over sometime and see that.
I would love to, Catherine. Yeah. This is so amazing. Okay, let's talk, because we have about 5 minutes left. Let's talk about the books that you wrote, because you wrote How to Get Over a Heartbreak,
the 30-day heartbreak cure. Yes. And
where can they find that?
Amazon.
Okay.
And my second book is called Cat and Fern's Excellent God Adventure.
Oh my gosh.
And
who is Fern?
Fern was at the time 98 years old. She had been in a car accident with her kids and her husband. It was Christmas morning, like decades ago. And her husband was killed in the car accident.
Oh.
And she would, she's always been a very, very godly woman. She's a true Christian in every sense of the word. What do I mean by that? I mean, she walked the walk. She did the work. She had fun church in the trailer parks for the kids. That she created all these Christian programs for the underprivileged, because she, didn't want them to go without the Word of God, just in case they didn't have that at home. And of course, we all know a chaotic household. There's very little of that going on. And so she was amazing. But after her husband died, God would speak with her so clearly every morning. He would wake her up at like 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and she would just write what his messages were. And so this went on for decades.
That's incredible.
Oh, well, I read some of this and I thought, my gosh, this is astonishing.
Yeah. This is a book, basically.
It was feeding my spirit,
Is it like a devotional?
Well, Cat and Fern's Excellent God Adventure, because when I was going to write a book, it was going to be autobiographical, and the Lord spoke to me in my heart. When I say that, I don't hear words, I feel it. I feel it. And that is fine, you can do that, but right now I want you to write a devotional, an inspirational devotional, day by day. I want you to call Fern.
I can't wait to read it now.
Talk her into it. And so I'd take a day, then she would take away.
Her into it?
Well, because she didn't want to be in the limelight. She, with that kind of thing. But I said,
sometimes we have to pull them in, don't we?
Well, yes, because I said the world deserves to know,
to hear
what God is thinking. Through you and us, and her writings are so beautiful. So that's what Cat and Fern's Excellent God Adventure is. It's just a chapter a day, and she passed at 102. So I was so happy that she lived to see her work in book form.
She got to see it.
Oh yeah.
So when did this come out?
This came out in. I don't remember, honestly.
It's okay.
Yeah, I don't remember the year, but it's incredible.
Okay, and you can go to Amazon for that as well.
Yes, for Cat and Fern's Excellent God Adventure.
You have a website, right?
I do.
Is it the catcosmetics.com or is there another one?
Catcosmetics.com is my company website.
Okay.
CatherineHickland.com is my
and that's where we can find
site.
All your personal stuff and all the things you've done. But there's also something I wanted you to share, because you you bring on your chickens sometimes. You do these cute videos.
Yep.
And like you're at the ranch or with your husband, you do shows on Fridays and Saturdays.
Yeah, Friday night and Saturday night. Catherine Hickland,
on the old Facebook.
Live. Facebook Live.
It's
My
great.
page is only for positive things. I don't accept negative there. I
Good
block
for you.
negativity. It's a place to go to be happy and to learn about life and fellowship and
you can win things because
you can win things.
I remember you were getting the
Yes.
lipstick. You were trying to I think the lipstick you have on now, it was a frost, and you were like, "This is a by lipstick, and I'm going to pick a name." And you pick names. I don't know how you do this
because when people enter the room on Facebook Live, they show up. Their name shows up, and so I have someone that enters them into.
Like a drawing or
into
something.
a drawing. Yeah. So we do 8 drawings a show. But it's just really fun. And
people
it's great.
love that.
Yeah, I love it too.
People, I mean, and also the generous spirit that you have to give away things.
Thank you. I never expected to be doing it this long. I started it when we went into lockdown for COVID, and I was worried that people that live alone or we're going to get lonely, and that was only supposed to be for 15 days. So I said, I'm going to be here every day for 15 days. I will be here with you. And we're going to support each other and lift each other up and laugh and talk about life, and whatever happens, that's what we're going to do. 2.5 years later.
And then
we're still doing it.
And then you have a show with your husband.
On Saturday night.
On Saturday nights.
Yeah. So we do a show, and we have a Star Wars set that's really neat that we built.
Okay, so how can people find this? Can they
That's
just go
on my
to your
page as well.
Okay, your page.
So my Facebook page is Catherine Hickland, and it's so just sign up to be notified. I promise you will really have a good time on Friday night and Saturday night.
I will come on her show, you guys, sometimes, and I'll start talking to her, in the little comments. But I don't have time to watch it a lot. But I like to hop on, and when you get on there, you just light the whole place up.
Thank you.
I'm like, oh, it's Kat.
It's my honor, to be with people, and they're a very tight-knit group now. The viewers all are very tight, and people come and they'll say, could someone please pray for me? I'm going through this. I love that, because you know what? Not everybody that watches the show is a Christian.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Because we bring
the love.
Well, you show up and you do what you do. Mm-hmm. We've also had a lot of people come to the Lord from that show.
That's really
And you know what? I might not get everybody, but I'm out there doing my best.
You're doing so amazing, Kat. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I would love to have you come back on again. And
Definitely.
I cannot wait to tell Oz that we get to come see both you and meet Mr. Todd. And you're just an amazing woman of God. And I love you, and we'll see you next time.
Back at it.
Yeah.
If I could just say one thing to the people that are watching, thank you, first of all. And second of all, just know that something really good is going to happen to you. And I want you to affirm that every day when you wake up. Something really good is going to happen to me today. It's okay for you to say that. And God wants good things for you. And I want you to affirm that and just say it with all the passion and feeling that you can. And then think about what it is you want to have happen, because He's listening.
I want to also thank all of you for joining Annie's Pink Chair. I am Annie Lobert, and we'll see you next time on the chair.